Colgar.
Okay? So if you put the verb colgar in this little arrow right here, okay? Here it's going to tell you.
Can we use this air because it's now
Huir?
it's yeah. Because now
Okay,
it's
so
set,
huir.
it will be better than imagine that it's different.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. But you have it there, yeah? You have it
Yeah,
there?
I have.
You have it there?
I have Colgar.
Colgar, right?
Colgar,
Let's use
okay,
colgar.
yeah.
Okay?
Let's use
So
Colgar.
the first thing is that here you're going to see, right here in this part, you're going to see the present tense conjugation of the verb colgar, right? So I'm going to write the present tense conjugation of the verb colgar here, right? So the verb colgar for yo, it's cuelgo. Correct? Cuelgo. Tú, it's cuelgas.
Cuelgas.
Él, ella, usted, it's cuelga. Nosotros, it's nosotros colgamos. And ellos cuelgan. Now, we're not going to go deep into the why this happens.
You forgot vosotras, colgáis.
Vosotros, yes. Vosotros, remember in Colombia we don't use vosotros, but know that in Spain we do. Colgáis. ¿Sí? Colgáis, right? Colgáis, right? So that is the verb colgar in all of its conjugation. Now, why does this happen? Why is this like this? For the verb colgar, there's a special rule that is pretty easy to understand, and it's the following. The verb colgar is a stem-changing verb, okay? There are verbs out there that are called stem-changing verbs. So imagine the verb hablar, right? And I'm going to post it here in our... So this is what we looked at... this is what we looked at in our last class. We looked at the present tense, right? And we said, hey, Georgi, I want you to learn these conjugations, right? So for the verb hablar, you see how the H-A-B-L does not change. No cambia. It doesn't change. No cambia, right? The H-A-B-L is what we call the stem. The stem is everything but the ending. What is the ending? A-R, E-R, or I-R. Everything but the ending is the stem. In regular verbs, the stem does not change, but in stem-changing verbs, the stem changes. Now, stem-changing verbs can be one of three types. One of three types. It can be a verb that changes from O to UE, a verb that changes from E to IE, or a verb that changes from E to I. Okay? All right. I want you to go to the verb dormir. Dormir. Okay? Dormir. So you're going to put dormir over here on this little arrow.
Okay, dormir.
Dormir. And so you see the present tense of dormir. If dormir was a regular verb, dormir, we're just going to change the ending. We're going to change dormir. So I take away the IR. Pam, pam. And then for yo, the ending is, if it's regular, it's O. So dormir, it's O. Okay, dormo. But that's not what we have over there. We have duermo. Because the verb dormir is number one. This O in the stem, right? In the stem, the O in the stem has to change for a UE. That is called a stem changing verb. Okay? The O is the ending. The O changes normal, like a normal verb. Dormir is an IR verb, so yo dormo, tú dormes, él duerme, nosotros dormimos, ellos dormís, vosotros dormís, ellos duermen. Dormen. But because dormir is stem changing, we have to change for yo, tú, él, ella, usted. Nosotros doesn't change, vosotros doesn't change, ellos, ellas, ustedes changes. So if you look at that, you're going to see that nosotros and vosotros is not due, it's dormimos y dormís. See? These are called stem changing verbs. So a lot of irregular verbs are stem changing verbs. So even if you don't remember them, you can remember dormir, stem changing verb. I just have to change this O to a UE. Some other verbs are E to IE. Look at the verb entender. Put the verb entender there for me, please.
Entender. Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the verb entender is an ER verb. If we treat it like a regular verb, if we treat the verb entender like a regular verb, it's going to be entender, right? So we go to ER. Let's say I want to say entender for two. So ER, ES. So I take away the ER, I put in ES. Okay? And so that is if the verb is regular. But the verb entender is not regular, it's stem changing. So this E, we're gonna switch for an IE. And that is what you should be seeing over there for tú. Entender for tú is ¿entiendes? Yes, entiendes. Right? You see it there in the table. So the verb entender for yo, it's entiendo, tú entiendes, él, ella, usted entiende. Nosotros goes back to the original. It doesn't stem change. So it's not it's entendemos, entendemos. It goes back to the original. Entendemos, right? And then the rest of it is vosotros entendéis and ellos, ellas, ustedes entienden. So these are called stem changing verbs. What is an example of number 3? Maybe you should have the verb. The verb. Okay, you don't have that one. Maybe you should have the verb.
I have another side of that. You have two pictures.
Yes. Okay, 2 pictures. Maybe you should have the verb pedir. Maybe the verb pedir you should have there.
Pedir.
Yes, pedir.
Pedir.
No, pedir. Yes, you have pedir there. So pedir is exactly the third case. The verb pedir, if we treat it like a regular verb, it's going to be like yo pedo, tú pedes, él pede, but that's not the case. We have to change that E for an I. So the verb pedir, pedir, we change the E in the stem. What is the stem? Everything but the ending. So ped is the stem, right? And this E is the one that I'm going to change for an I. So this is going to be pid, and then o, pido, pides, pide. Nosotros is regular, so it's pedimos. Vosotros pedís, y ellos piden. So the majority of these verbs can be considered stem changing verbs, right? So I'll tell you when it's a stem changing verb, and you say, okay, even if I don't remember it, Andreas, tell me if it's stem changing, or if it's 1, 2, or 3, and I will know. And I'll tell you, oh, Georgi, it's pedir, so it's stem changing, it's number 3. And you say, pedir, so I got it, number 3 is E to I. So yo pido, pides, pide, and you don't even need the table. This little circle is important for the verbs that are really weird, right? Like, for example, huir. Huir has a Y that there's no logical explanation. It's just you have to put a Y there, right? For example, the verb, maybe you have it on the other side, the verb traducir, right? So traducir, you have a Z that appears out of nowhere. Yo traduzco. Tú traduces. Él traduce. Nosotros traducimos. The verb traducir should only be irregular for the yo. And it's only irregular for the yo, the verb traducir. Everything else about the verb traducir is regular. So that's another category of verbs, right? I usually use this little table that I created to teach that to my students, right? So I'm gonna copy this over here, and I'm gonna put it in our whiteboard for today, right? So I usually use this table to explain this to students. I tell them that, look, there are regular verbs where all you do is change the ending. Hablar, comer, vivir. All you do is vive, es, vive, o, vive, right? And then on the other side, there are irregular verbs, and irregular verbs can be different types. Irregular verbs that are completely irregular, like the verb ser or ir. If you go on your table and you put the verb ser or ir, it's going to be completely irregular. Yo soy, tú eres, it's all over the place, right? Ser or ir. There are the verbs that I call almost regular, casi regulares, right? So ser or ir, it's completely irregular. Yo soy, tú eres, él es, nosotros somos. Like, why this one has an E and this one starts with an S? I don't know. It's completely irregular. The verb ir and ser are completely irregular. Then there's the types of verbs that are almost regular. They're almost regular except for the first person, the yo. The yo is irregular, but everything else about them is regular.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the verb, for example, hacer. Let's see if you can do it. Hacer. Hacer should only be irregular for yo. Hacer should only be irregular for yo.
Yes. Ajo.
Hago.
Hago. Hago.
Remember, G-A-O-U is ga. Ga, go, gu. G-E or G-I is he or he. He. Okay?
Gago.
So, yo hago. Yo hago is the only irregular part. Everything else about it is regular. Mm-hmm. If we treat hacer like a regular verb, it should be tú haces, él hace, nosotros hacemos, just like the verb comer. Ellos hacen, vosotros hacéis. It's just like the verb comer. Hacéis, right? The ending is changing. Everything else is regular, mm-hmm. right? But the yo is irregular. What are some verbs that I call almost regular? That is the only irregular is the yo. Is hacer, conocer, traducir, estar, poner. All of these are regular for tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros. Everything is regular except the yo. Okay? Then we have the verbs que cambian de raíz, or that change stem. So stem changing verbs that I told you was O to U, E to I, E, or E to I. And those verbs are like dormir, entender, pedir, vestir. There's a long list of them.
So
and then there's verbs.
It's 4 groups that I can see here.
I would classify them into 4 groups. Classify them into 4
groups. And could you tell me, please, here? I don't know. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe it's 60 verbs on this wheel.
Okay.
Do you think how many percent of all irregular verbs is 60 this one? This is not all of them, right?
That's not all of them.
Yes,
that's
but
not all of them.
How much is it? Half or 10% of that?
That's a good question. I wouldn't know. I would not know. I don't have that information. I'll look it up. That'll be my homework. I will search for that. But I will tell you something. I have searched for the 20 most used verbs in Spanish. And then I also know by just conversation what are the most used verbs in Spanish. Nice. And here you have a big percentage of them. Like the most used verbs in Spanish are usually estar, ser, comer, vivir, hablar. So the ones that you are not here that you know are hablar, comer, vivir. Those you know, right? And then the other ones, decir is a super common verb. Jugar, ir, andar, acostarse is super common. It's reflexive. Encontrarse is super common. Like you have with these verbs here, and if you complement with maybe another group of 60 regular verbs, you have enough to create a lot of sentences, a lot of conversation, because these are the most important verbs, okay? So that is for the present tense, the present tense. We use this right here when the verb is reflexive. What verbs are reflexive? A reflexive verb will show you that it's reflexive because in the infinitive, without changing, it ends with se. We have a verb that is levantar. Okay? Levantar means to pick up. Levantar, just levantar means to pick up. And I'm going really fast because usually I do this in separate classes, but because I want to explain this table, I'm going to explain everything very quickly. But just know that reflexive verb is one whole class. Present is one class. Present perfect is one class. Like all of these are one class, but I'm going to try to explain everything very quickly so that you can go faster, okay? Levantar is a normal verb, a regular verb. You could say yo levanto, tú levantas, se levanta. Levantar means to pick up and then someone or something. So levantar means I pick up my keyboard. Yo levanto mi teclado. I pick up my cell phone. Yo levanto mi celular. You pick up the chair. Tú levantas la silla. It's a regular verb. Whenever you see levantarse, the meaning is not the same anymore because this is a reflexive verb. Oh, Andres, but it's the same just with a se. No. Levantarse means you pick yourself up. And usually it means to get up out of bed in the morning. To get out of bed. To get up. So Yo me levanto is I wake up, I get up. Tú te levantas is you get up. Not you pick something up.
Seems like I'm understanding you. It means, for example, annoying, something annoying me, or I'm annoyed, or it's different.
So it's similar. It's similar. Because we do have that verb. Aburrir, for example, is a reflexive. Is not a reflexive verb. It's a normal verb. Aburrir means to make someone be bored. For example, Andrés, regular verb. So Andrés aburre a todos sus estudiantes. Andrés aburre a todos sus estudiantes. Andrés bores all of his students. Right? Andrés bores all of his students. Means
like
Andrés
making boring students.
Them, exactly. Making them feel bored, like, oh, I hate this class, right? Andrés bores all of his students, right? So that is that. Sometimes reflexive verbs, they're called reflective because they act like a reflection, like a mirror. So instead of me doing the action on another person, I'm doing the action poof to myself. The action goes to myself, right? So it bounces off the reflection into myself. So I wake myself up. This is one type of reflexive verb. But the other type of reflexive verb is a verb that we need the reflexive, but it doesn't mean me to myself. So aburrirse doesn't mean that I make myself bored.
Can you write opposite sentence? That students make you boring.
Right? So levantarse, I'm going to put apart. Okay? All right? So, for example, aburrirse would be Georgie se aburre en la clase de Andrés. This doesn't mean that you become bored with yourself. This means that you are bored in my class. Yes?
I'm making boring you.
No. This means that you are becoming bored. You are becoming bored, right? So reflexive verbs work in two categories, right? The first one is the action to yourself, right? The action to yourself. And the other category is a special meaning. Okay? Special meaning. Number one is just a normal verb, right? Levantarse is the action to yourself. Aburrirse is a special meaning. If I say levantar, it means to get up, to pick something up. If I say levantarse, it's to pick myself up, like out of bed. I'm going to pick myself up out of bed at 6 in the morning, right? The action is being done to yourself. The special meaning is like aburrirse. It doesn't mean that I make myself bored, because that would be like number one. It means that I become bored. So it's a special meaning. So sometimes reflexive verbs will be number one, actions to yourself, or sometimes reflexive verbs are going to be number two. I'll give you another example, okay? Cepillar means to brush. So you've seen Lucas in my class, right? You've seen Lucas, my dog?
Yeah, on big dog. On the picture of your WhatsApp.
The picture of my WhatsApp is Lucas, very, very good, right? So sometimes he's in the class, right? So Lucas, I brush Lucas every day. So yo cepillo a Lucas todos los días. This is a normal sentence. Yo cepillo a Lucas todos los días, right? This verb is not reflexive. Now let's do cepillarse. Cepillarse would be yo me cepillo todos los días. This means I'm doing it to myself. I brush myself every day. So cepillar is me to someone else, and cepillo is me to Lucas. So this is two different sentences One is reflexive, one is not. This one is reflexive, this is not. How do we use reflexive verbs? Like this, like it says here. Before you change the verb, put the me first and then the person that is talking. Put the te first and then the person that is talking. If it's for yo, it's me. If it's for tú, it's te.
Can you show this me, te, do, because I don't understand. Where is it? To.
Here te. in the present next to
in the circle I can see in the sentence.
Here it is. Yo me cepillo.
Yo me.
Okay. I like to do this. I like to do this manually. Okay. So I'm gonna do it with another verb here. All right. I'm gonna do this with another verb. A very common verb is the verb to. A common reflexive verb. Okay, to get fixed up, to get ready in the morning, right? So the verb, so that is this type of verb here, the special meaning verb. Okay, so special meaning. Sorry, the special meaning would be arreglar, means to fix. Right. So yo arreglo mi carro en mi garaje. I fix my car in my garage. Arreglar, to fix, right? Not a reflexive, just a normal verb, okay? But there's a verb that is arreglarse. That verb is reflexive. But does it mean that I fix myself up? I'm broken, so I have to fix myself like I'm a robot? No. Arreglarse means to get ready in the morning. You know, when you brush your teeth and you comb your hair and you put on makeup and you put on your cologne, you shave, that is arreglarse. All of that is to get ready, to get fixed up, right? So you're going to use it how? I'm going to write down the verb arreglarse. So arreglarse, okay, looks like this, all right? So what you do is you cut off the se. You cut the se. Right here, you cut it off. Okay? And you change it for whoever's doing the action. Who's doing the action? Oh, yo. So it's me, like it says there. Who's doing the action? Oh, no, tú. So it's te. So you choose the pronoun. If it's yo, it's me. If it's tú, it's te. If it's él, ella, usted, se, like that. Let's say that it's they. They. So what is it for they? What is se for they? For ellos? In the little table.
Let me check.
Se for ellos in the little.
For arreglar. No? What?
No, not for any verb. Just in the table. What does the table say for the se? What is the se for ellos, ellas, ustedes? Right here. What does it say? Is it me? Is it te? What is it?
This is
for ellos. It's se.
Subject. No?
Yes. If the sentence is about ellos, what do I have to change the se to? So the se at the end of arreglarse, okay, you see here? Georgi. At the end of arreglarse, when I break off this se, it's going to change for one of these over here. One of these. Depending on who I'm talking about. If it's yo, what is it?
Me.
Me. If it's tú,
te.
If it's él, ella, usted,
se.
Se. It doesn't change. It stays se.
Se.
What about if it's ellos, ellas, ustedes?
Se.
Se again, right? So you say, oh, Andreas, it stays the same. No, it changes, but it changes to se. So it stays the same. Okay, so se, we're going to write it se again because we need it for ellos, ellas, ustedes. So we break this up and we put se and we put it at the beginning. This is going to be at the beginning, right? Now here, right, we're going to write the verb arreglar, just this verb arreglar, but for ellos, ellas, ustedes, because it has to be the same one. It has to be the same one as we did here. So if this one was for ellos, ellas, ustedes, this one is for ellos, ellas, ustedes. So what is arreglar for ellos, ellas, ustedes? It's a regular verb. Regular. So what is arreglar for ellos, ellas, ustedes? What is it?
Arreglar. No, don't understand now.
Okay, arreglar is a regular verb, so it's not there in the table. Arreglar, we have to change it for ellos, ellas, ustedes. So if arreglar is a regular verb, it's AR, so arreglar. So arreglar for ellos, ellas, ustedes, what is it?
Arreglan.
Arreglar. I wrote it here. Arreglar.
Arreglan.
Arreglar, right? So we had this. We had this, right? We had arreglarse, right? I took the se and I changed it for who? Who is doing the action? Oh, ellos, ellas, ustedes. So I changed it for se. Okay? So I changed it for se. And I put it at the beginning. And then I take arreglar and I change it also for ellos, ellas, ustedes. And then I have arreglar. So the new se arregla. How do I say they fix themselves? They get ready? Se arregla. How do I say I get ready? Oh, okay. So I. So se for I is what? What is se for?
Arreglo.
No, that's arreglar for I. So arreglo is correct, but that's for arreglar. What is se for I?
Se for I. Don't know.
In the little box here, in the little box. You see this little box? What is se for I?
In this, I can see here se for ella, usted.
No, for yo, for I, for yo. What is se for yo?
Me.
Me. Very good. Very good. Me. Okay. So now I want. So I have this. I have arreglarse, right? I have arreglarse. Okay. If I want it for yo, arreglarse for yo, I'm going to take this se and I'm going to change it for me. And I'm going to put it at the beginning. So now we have me, and we're going to put it at the beginning. And then we're left with arreglar, and we also have to change it for yo. So yo, arreglar for yo, it's arreglo. Arreglo, right? And so what is the new phrase?
Me arreglo.
Me arreglo. I fix myself. You see? So that's what you have to do. You have to take this se, and who is doing the action? Oh, tú. So what is se for tú? Jorge, what is se for tú?
Te.
Te. And then arreglar for tú?
Te arreglas.
Muy bien. Te arreglas. Te arreglas is you fix yourself up. Jorge, ¿tú te arreglas en la mañana? Sí, yo me arreglo. Yo me cepillo, me maquillo, me peino, ¿sí? Me ducho. Yo me arreglo en la mañana.
How can we to find equivalent in? I know we actually have in Russia pretty the same rules. It's easier to understand by Russians, but if by English, what is the equivalent construction? I've made myself.
Right, myself. Arreglar. So arreglar means to fix, or what? It's because arreglar changes the meaning. Arreglar changes the meaning. Remember, special meaning is arreglar. So arreglar says me arreglo siempre después de la ducha. I get ready every time after the shower, right? So me arreglo. But what is an example? It's like, what is another reflexive verb that is not a special meaning? Okay, vestir. Vestir is an irregular verb. It's in your little table. It's in your little circle because vestir is a stem changing verb
Mm-hmm.
It's a stem changing verb of type 3.
Mm-hmm.
Without looking at your little circle, you can do this. You don't need the circle for vestir. You don't need this circle, okay? You can do it, right? So vestir, you know that it's going to stem change for number 3. So what is number 3? That the E in the stem is going to change to an I, okay? This is what you have to remember. But the rest, you treat it regular. What is vestir for yo?
Yo visto.
Perfecto. We take away the IR, it's O, visto, yo visto. I dress. Yo visto a mi hermano. I dress my little brother. It's me dressing him, me dressing her, me dressing them. That's the verb vestir. Vestir, yo visto. Vestirse is I dress myself. I put on clothes on myself. Vestir, te vistes is you dress yourself. Se viste is he dresses himself, like myself, yourself, himself or herself, themselves, right? Ourselves. That is the equivalent of the reflexive. It's like being done to myself, because vestir just means I dress someone else. But me visto is I dress myself. I put on clothes. Yo me visto muy rápido. I get dressed very fast. Yo me visto muy rápido. This means I dress myself very fast. You see? Versus yo visto is like, okay, but who do you dress? So what happens with a lot of my students when they're learning this, they tell me, oh, Andres, yo visto muy rápido. Yo visto muy rápido. They want to say, I dress myself very quickly. I get dressed very quickly. And I say, who do you dress? And he says, who? No, me. I dress myself. And I say, that doesn't say me. This says you dress someone, I don't know who, very fast. And then they say, okay, so I need the reflexive. And I say, yeah. Okay, so yo me visto. That is correct. Yo me visto. Right? Now, when the two of them don't agree, because both of these are for yo. Me is for yo, visto is for yo. When the two of them don't agree, that means that you're talking about something else. When you say, tú, me vistes, what is vistes? Vistes is what?
Vistes this ending for tú.
Perfecto. So vestir, we know that the person doing the action is tú. Because if the verb is conjugated for tú, it's because the person doing the action is tú. So tú vistes muy rápido, it's you dress someone very quickly. But if you ever see a me there, it's not reflexive. This means you dress me very quickly. So when the two are agreeing, it's reflexive. When the two disagree, and this is for Joe, and this one is for tú, this means that you're doing the action to him. You're doing the action to them. You're doing the action to us. Okay? So you have to be careful with that, because a lot of students, they get confused. If you say tú nos vistes, it means you dress us very quickly. Because the se for nosotros is nos. Se for nosotros is nos.
Andreas, what is the level of Spanish with that forms of verbs? Is it A1 or A2?
These basic introductions are usually A1, A2. For me, they're A1, A2, right? They will never go to B1, right? B1 is because you already know these verbs. Now, particularly reflexive verbs are considered to be an A1 level. Okay.
I mean, this construction I should know in A1 already. This construction of sentence you've written before.
Yeah, A1. This would be an A1 level.
Okay.
A1, A2. A1, A2, because like it doesn't mean the construction is A1. It means that knowing the construction is A1. Being able to do many things with that construction is A2. And then B1 is having a conversation with those constructions. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So knowing these constructions are all A1. All of this regular verbs, all of these, this is A1. This is just learning the verbs and how they work, right? A2 then becomes knowing how they work and how they interact, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually have a book that I like to use. And then it's a specific book for like this type of situation for like A1. And in this A1A book, this is an A1 book according to the European reference, and all of this is in that book. I have an A1 book. Reflexive verbs, irregular verbs, all of this is in that book, A1 book. Mm-hmm. And this one uses the European frame of reference A1, A2, A1, B2, C1, C2. Okay. So this is A1. Mm-hmm. Now, is it easy to understand? No, of course it's not easy. What is not in this book? Present perfect, all of this. This is in the book. This right here is in the book. Mm-hmm. Indefinido is in the book. This is called the past tense. There are two types of past tense. There is the imperfect or there is the indefinite. The book focuses more on the indefinite for A1. Mm-hmm. The imperfect is a little bit more A2. The book focuses more on indefinite A1. The future, it doesn't talk about that much in the book, a little bit, but conditional, definitely not. The present, of course. Pretérito indefinido, yes. Mm-hmm. That's the verb haber. Okay, what else? Participio, you're not going to need. This is for the perfect tenses, so you're not going to need it. Just a couple of these are in that one, A1. Okay? Mm-hmm. A1 for sure is present tense, indefinido, and reflexive verbs, which is this table right here that you pair with the present to make the reflexive. Those three are the main things in A1 level. Of verb tenses. Those three are the main tenses in A1 level. Besides that, you have the gerundio, which I don't see here. Where's the gerundio? Maybe on the back side? No, you don't have the gerundio here. Okay, the gerundio is really easy. The gerundio is really, really simple, right? Mm-hmm. The gerundio is just the ing. It's called gerundio. Right? Gerundio. Okay? The gerundio is the ing. How do we make the gerundio? Comiendo, jugando, hablando, viviendo. The gerundio, you do it, if it's AR, it's ANDO. If it's ER or IR, it's IENDO. That's the gerundio. And that they also use in the A1 level. Mm-hmm. It's to say that something is happening right now. If I tell you, Georgi, ¿qué haces? What are you doing? ¿Qué haces? You say, oh, Andrés, estoy hablando en español. I'm speaking Spanish. Mm-hmm. Hablando. Estoy, and you use it all with the verb estar. The verb estar is always used here because it's the is, the I am, you are, he is. It's the verb estar.
And where is it in this wheel? It's not in
the wheel? Not in the wheel, no.
Okay.
It's not in the wheel. I don't know why it's not in the wheel, but it's not. But it's in my book. It's in the A1 level book. It's considered to be A1. So, but it's really easy. It's really easy. It's just the ing. So you use the verb estar with the ing of the verb. All the verbs only have one ing. Comiendo. Oh, but what is comiendo for tú? No, comiendo is for tú. Comiendo is for él. Comiendo is for yo. Comiendo is for nosotros. Because the comiendo doesn't change. What changes? The verb estar. If you say yo estoy comiendo, it's I am eating. Estás comiendo, you are eating. Estamos comiendo, we are eating. That's why probably they don't have it here. But they could have put it here. It could have been really easy to put. But that's why probably they don't have it here, right? Because comiendo is very, very easy, right? The gerundio is very easy. All you have to do is just remember to conjugate the verb estar. Okay? We're only beginning in the book. The majority of the activities that I sent you are from the book, right? We're only starting off in the book, so we haven't gotten to this level yet, right? But we will. We will shortly get to this level, okay?
Okay.
All right, perfect. So let's continue with the process, and let's just be a little bit patient, and let's continue with the process, and then we'll check that. Right. So today we're going to just do regular verbs. Right. We already saw the gender of nouns. We already saw the pronouns and everything. We're just going to do regular verbs so that you practice it. Okay. So here, I'm going to give you this exercise. Right. Here. It says, write the phrases in the correct form, right? Regular verbs in the present tense. This is just regular verbs. You don't have to practice any of the things on the wheel yet. Right? So, what is the first sentence?
Yo estudio matemáticas.
Perfecto. Muy bien. Now, Georgi, I always have something that's called the active vocabulary. Active vocabulary. Do you study math?
No.
What did you study in college?
In college? You mean college is university?
Yeah, in the university.
Law?
Law, right? Do you practice law today, or do you do something completely different?
No.
Something completely different,
yeah.
Right? But you studied law. So what happens is you learn the sentence "Yo estudio matemáticas," right? So I'm telling my students, this is all of my students that are beginning in their Spanish. They learn to say "Yo estudio matemáticas," and that's good for the example. But I always tell them, make an example that is true to you, because you're gonna need to know how to say, "Oh, I studied law, but now I study this," or whatever it is. So do you know those words? So maybe you don't. So you say, "Oh, Andres, yo estudio." When we learn the past tense, you'll change the estudio for the past tense, like estudié. Yo estudio derecho is law. Did you know that derecho is law?
But it's in the past.
Right, it's in the past, but not yet, because we haven't seen the past. So let's just learn derecho as law.
Okay.
And then let's say the sentence in the present. So yo estudio derecho. You meet someone and you say, "Hey, yo estudio derecho." Like if you were in the university right now and you met someone and you say, "Oh, me, I study law." Me, I study industrial engineering, ingeniería industrial. Right?
Okay.
Now, I always tell my students, because most of them are already not in the university anymore, I always tell them, learn to say your profession or your industry. So you studied law in the university, but what do you exercise in today? What industry do you work in? Economics? I don't know. What do you work in? Marketing?
Yes, it's sort between marketing. Yes, it's search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization. Right?
Yeah, websites optimization.
It's okay, perfect. Right. So you could say, what would you say is that one industry, to make it like one word, simple? Marketing, maybe, right?
Yeah. Okay. Internet marketing. Internet marketing.
Mercadeo digital. Can you say it for me?
Yo estudio mercadeo digital.
Perfecto. Now, you didn't know how to say this before. Now you know how to say it, right? But now, what happens if I change estudio to a word like I work? What is I work? Yo
trabajo mercadeo digital.
Yo trabajo en mercadeo digital. We need the en like in this industry, right? You don't need it for estudio because I study blah, 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 but I work in digital marketing, en mercadeo digital. So you see how this is your active vocabulary? Yeah, the exercise is good to do it. You have to do it to practice different vocabulary, but always try to make the sentence personal so that you can, it's a useful vocabulary, right? Yes. So that's what I want you to do in all of the exercises that we do from here on out, okay? All right, número dos, what does it say?
Nosotros comíamos En casa.
Comemos.
En casa.
En casa like this, comeamos.
Comeos.
Comeos. En casa like this.
Vamos. I don't know. Comer.
Okay. So remember, always nosotros has to end with mos.
Comemos.
Very good. Always nosotros has to end with mos. Always. Now, if it's AR, it's amos. If it's ER, it's hemos. If it's IR, it's imos. Comer is ER. Hemos, I take away the ER, I put comemos. Right? Nosotros comemos en casa. That means we eat at home. Is this a general sentence? Yeah. Is this a sentence you could say? Yes. Because it's generic. It's very general. It's not very specific. If the sentence is very specific, make it your own. If the sentence is generic, learn it so you can use it. Georgi, do you typically eat at home or in the restaurants or on the streets? Where do you typically eat?
Yo comeo en casa.
No.
Yo comeo.
Yo
como.
Perfecto. En casa.
Yo como en casa.
Perfecto. Sí. Muy bien. Perfecto. Ok, número 3.
Rosa va a beber agua. Rosa no Rosa no bebe agua.
Perfecto. Muy bien. Bebes is for tú. Rosa is ella. Right? Rosa no bebe agua. Now, if you're talking to Rosa, you're not going to say Rosa. Like when I talk to you, I don't say, well, I do say Georgi, but I say like to get your attention. But I would just say, Georgi, tú, blah, 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 blah. But I don't say Georgi, blah, 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 blah. Because that means like I'm talking about someone else. You know? If I'm talking to you, I just say tú. Georgi, tú, blah, 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 blah. Right? So Rosa no bebe agua. Rosa doesn't drink water. Okay? Georgi, is there something you don't drink? Maybe?
Yes, of course. Lots of anything.
Lots of things you don't drink? All right. What are things you don't drink?
So what I can drink?
What is something you don't drink?
I don't know how to say petrol. No.
All right, gasoline. You don't drink gasoline. Okay. Yo no bebo gasolina.
Yo no
bebo gasolina. But that's of course you don't drink gasoline. But I was thinking something like yo no bebo tequila because of that one summer that I got really drunk.
No, right? Everything, every alcohol I can drink.
Okay, all right. You're fine. Let's just bring on the alcohol, right? Yeah. Okay, all right. So you drink pretty much everything. Is there something you don't drink? I have students that say I don't drink sodas. I don't like sugar drinks.
Yes, me too. Me neither. Yo no beba fizzy water. How to say? Sparkling water.
Refrescos. Okay. You don't drink sparkling water. Agua con gas. They say in Colombia. In Colombia, we say just agua con gas.
Okay.
Yo no bebo agua con gas, which is sparkling water. Or you could say, sometimes we say gaseosa, which is soda, like Coca-Cola, Sprite, you know that? Or in Spain, they say refrescos. Refrescos are for sodas, right? Refrescos, right? Muy bien. Yo no bebo refrescos. Okay. Yo no bebo nada con gas. I don't drink anything with gas. Andreas, this says nothing. In Spanish, it's double negative. If you have no, you can put nada, and it means I don't drink anything. Because the two negatives cancel out, and it's no anything, not no nothing. Okay. So yo no bebo nada con gas. I don't drink anything with gas, with carbon, bicarbonate, right? Right? Okay. So you understand the idea, right? So this is turning each sentence into a personal sentence. Because yes, it's very good for Rosa that she doesn't drink water. But who is Rosa and why do I care if she doesn't drink water? I don't. I don't care about Rosa, and I don't care if she doesn't drink water. Okay? All right, let's do number 4. Número 4.
Es Louisiana Ace.
Louisiana.
Vivin en Galicia.
En Galicia. Galicia, what is Galicia?
Maybe Viven. I don't remember.
Viven en Galicia.
Viven.
Muy bien.
Viven.
The verbs that end with IR, remember the majority of them copy the ER.
Yeah.
Vives, vivo, vives, vivimos, etc. Right? The majority of them copy the ER, except nosotros. Nosotros doesn't copy the ER, or vosotros. Okay? Everything else copies the ER. All right? Again, Luis y Ana viven en Galicia. Luis and Ana, 2 people, live in Galicia. Galicia is, I think, a city or a region in Spain. I don't remember. Region. It's in Spain, for sure.
Region.
It's a region. It's a region in Spain. Right.
Yo vivo en Cataluña.
Perfecto. Yo vivo en Cataluña. Yo vivo en Cataluña. Can you say it for me?
Yo vivo en Cataluña.
Perfecto. Muy bien. Yo vivo en Cataluña. All right? So, again, that is sometimes play with it. Sometimes say, okay, I don't want to do them all for Joe, but maybe I have 2 friends that live in a different part of Spain. Do you have 2 friends that live in a different part of Spain? So what are their names?
For example,
Andres y Ana. Right? This is me and my girlfriend. Where do I live?
Andreas y Ana viven en Colombia.
Right. In Bucaramanga. That's the city. Can you say that for me?
Andrés y Ana viven en Bucaramanga.
This is a sentence. When you talk about to your friends, you're like, my teacher Andres and his girlfriend Ana, they live in Bucaramanga. This is a real example of a real situation, not an example number 4 of Luis and Ana. Who the hell are Luis and Ana? I don't know. Right? You know? So it's like, and where do in Galicia? Okay. Well, most of my students, they don't live in Spain. They live in the US or things like that. So when I give them examples of Galicia, they say Galicia. But if I tell them, Medellin, they're like, yeah, Medellin. I have 2 friends that live in Medellin. His name is Mike and Maria. Mike and Maria viven in Medellin. And for them, that's a real example. You see? So that is like that. Okay, so make examples. They don't have to be all for yo, because then you only practice the yo. Practice the tú. Andrés, tú vives en Bucaramanga, in Colombia. Practice the different forms, right?
Andres, yes. So I will make these all examples in my work task, as in my work task. I want to ask you,
in your homework.
can you put this freeform file to, for example, drop it to my link to cloud? So if I will give you some, for example, fold, yes, in the cloud, you can just drop this file, and I will have all of that you written for whole lesson. Is it possible?
Yeah, for sure. Just send me the maybe to WhatsApp or wherever.
Yes, I can drop it to WhatsApp. You will open it and drop this file.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you for
Georgi,
your lesson.
I will see you next class.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, and I will see you next class. All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
today.
Well, you can still make it if you bike there.
I'll be late. And I already had 1 hour. Sorry.
It's not me, it's for you. It's, I think it's good for you to be in class.
Okay.